Hey guys, welcome back to Bait and Tackle, and today we're going to talk about different types of silicone you can buy to making your own molds. And what I mean by that is I made a Woodmaster of my big-eyed fed head, and I made a whole bunch of different molds. And the one thing I've been experimenting with is different silicone companies, different silicone products to make these molds with. So I wanted to share with you what I've found so far. This right here is a Lumilite mold maker, and we're going to get into that a little bit more in detail. And this is going to be a video that's broken up, and I've got a whole bunch of different videos to tie in with this when I actually poured these molds. And the other one we're going to do is Umu, which is by, I believe that's Smooth On. So we're going to do that one. And I found a cheap one on Amazon called BB Dyno, I believe is the name of this one. And we're gonna try that one. I got two of those molds made up. And the last one, and I've had a lot of help from some other people on this venture. This one is Mold Max 30. I gotta give a shout out to Noah from Slim's Lures. He has helped me tremendously. I've asked him a lot of questions about which type of silicones would be best for doing these pours. These are all obviously open pours, not injection, but to just have a good quality mold. So if I do decide to sell molds, I have that at my back, and I have a good quality product, good quality silicone. So let's get into this. I'm going to remelt a whole bunch of used white pearl plastic, and we're gonna go ahead and pour all these, and that's gonna be the last part of everything that we need to do for this video. So you're gonna see all of me making all these molds and process, and we're gonna break down each one, and I'm gonna show you how they I've got like a little point system going on how each one like performed in certain areas, and we'll get into that. Demolding number 2. Also fix the hook slot so that it actually gives you a little bit more room for more hookup ratio when the hook goes through. And this works really well with the 8-aught beast I found. So we'll be able to maybe sometime tonight pour a mold and see how it goes. So I've been experimenting with different silicones, and the first two I tried some a Lumilite mold maker, and it's a great durable silicone, and it does really well pouring the plastic in. The only issue that I have with it is when you pour the plastic in, something in this silicone creates a lot of air bubbles that build up on the side of the body. So when you actually pull the bait out of here, there's air bubbles on the smooth part. You can see it. It makes like a scaled, almost rough finish. So it's not rough. It's still smooth, but you can tell that there was air trapped in there. So, and I've noticed that too. When after you let these sit for a while, the bubbles will come to the top, and a lot of bubbles come up. So something to do with the way this silicone breathes. It brings air up through the plastic somehow, or the silicone somehow, and gets it into the bait. So I'm not really too thrilled about how Mold Maker is performed. This is probably more for like casting some kind of a different type of resin or whatever, you know what I mean? Not so much soft plastic. So that one was the first one I tried. The second one I tried was this, which is Umu 30. And I got that off of Amazon, and one of my buddies recommended this to me. And to be honest, it's fantastic. It holds up very well. It's super durable. It's held up to the heat really well. The only problem that I have is when I pour, I get some air pockets trapped in the eye cavities, which with this upside down, when I pour it, it's actually up here towards the top. So when I'm filling it up, Must be that there's some air that's getting trapped inside the eye. So the only way I could figure out to prevent that was to fill in the eye sockets with some of that silicone before I pour the silicone in, which seems to help. But great material so far. So this is probably up there for the silicone right now. This is up for grabs. But I did buy a whole bunch of different ones. I bought this one we're gonna try today called BB Dyno 20A silicone. So we're gonna try that. And it also has like a pack of colorant you can buy, and I got it on sale like on Prime Days. And we're going to try some red in this, so it's like this. Or maybe we'll switch colors, so then that way it's not the same, because Mold Maker's red. Maybe we'll try something different, like a green or something, I don't know. But I got a whole pack of those. Let me show you real quick. I got a whole pack of those as well. And again, BB Dyno. Okay, it's off of Amazon. And I don't remember how much they were. If maybe I'll put some prices down below. There's some blue pigment, white, flesh colored, green, blood. One is blood, like a dark red, black. You can do black if you wanted to, and then you can do a brown. Let's do black. I'm kind of curious to see how that comes out as a silicone. So that's colorant for the silicone. So we'll add that in when we mix up our silicone. So for this video, or this portion of the video, I'm going to mix up some BB Dyno 20A, and we're going to try that. So with the BB Dyno, we have a little box here, and it comes with some instructions, and it looks like some little plastic things. I don't know if these are like little like catches or whatever. Let's read what they've got here in the directions. I think it basically just tells you how to mix it. So roughly calculate total volume of silicone for your project, which I need about 10 ounces. So I bought these 8-ounce cups, but I just go ahead and go over it just enough to where I think it's around 10. That's all we need. Roughly calculate total volume, and then you prepare a well-sealed mold container so that the silicone won't leak out. I've got my container here. I'm using a piece of plexiglass on the bottom. I bought this little mold kit thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Nick Pro. It's a little mold frame to make silicone molds, and then I put my bait in there. This is a resin copy of my bait. This is the one that I had to modify. So we're ready for the container as far as that goes. Glue the project to the middle of the container, which we've already done that. Ensure that there are empty spaces surrounding the project as well as the project top. Stirring stick comes with the thing as well as measuring cups. Okay, so I didn't show those. I think it's small measuring cups and little stick that comes with it, so we're not using that. We're going to use this. And then I bought some popsicle sticks just from the craft store. Ones that are a little bit more expensive. They don't splinter off. They're not cheap. You know what I mean? They're nice quality. So let's go ahead and do this. It says fetch same volume of part A and part B with measuring cup. Pour both into the mixing cup. Stir and scrape around the cup wall till 2 parts blended well. Then slowly pour into the container. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this exactly what they say. Oh, actually, they gave you some stirring sticks, and they're really nice, too. These are good quality sticks. So these came with the thing. They actually say BB Dyno on them. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of their sticks because it's a little bit bigger than the one I've got. So let's go ahead and use that. Set this off to the side. So it says we need 50-50, right? So same part. So part A, part B, the same amount on both. Looks like it's got a nice sealed cap, so you don't have to worry too much about leakage or anything like that. Looks like it is sealed, and I'm going to use thought I had an X-Acto here. Yeah, I do. I'm just going to use an X-Acto to cut around the outside. I have no idea what color this is, and then we'll add the colorant before too and mix that in. Probably don't need much, I would think. I think you wouldn't need much at all. So I have no idea if this is clear, like natural color, or if this is something else. I'm going to go ahead and open up part B as well. This is part B. Looks like the outside thing didn't want to come off on that one. And then same idea here. Cut the top. Hopefully my arm's not interfering with the camera, but you guys can see okay. It looks like it's clear. I'm gonna throw that away. Okay, so part A, We're going to do 50%, so we're going to do 5 ounces of mix right there. Close enough. Okay. And then we're going to do 5 of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my, hopefully this color pigment is ready to go. Actually, maybe I'll just put it in now. Let's see if we can get, yep, there we go. I'm just going to put in like 2 or 3 little squirts, and we're going to leave it alone. Cap that off, set that off to the side. Okay, so we put in 2 little squirts of black. Here comes part B. We're going to fill it up to the 10 ounce mark, which there is no 10 ounce mark. I just kind of roughly estimate it. Probably right about there. Okay, so it looks like we've got a little bit more left. Might be able to get another mold out of that. So let's see how we make out here. So we got our BB Dyno stuff in there. We're going to mix. And like I said, the only difference here that we're going to do is I'm going to mix this up real good. And you know, I'm going to be honest, so far, just from what I've seen right now, the consistency of this silicone is compared to the other ones. Mold Maker's pretty thick. Umu 30 is very thick, and it's very, very hard to mix. But this seems really good so far. But just remember to scrape around the outsides of the cup or whatever you're mixing it in. Make sure you scrape the bottoms real good. Make sure it gets a real nice mix. Now, try not to introduce too much air into it. You can use a vacuum chamber, but I thought it was pretty tough to use a vacuum chamber with the Umu 30 and the Mold Maker, so I actually didn't even do it with that. And I'm not going to get into that today. You can. I may get into that in the future, but for right now, this is a really cool, like, smoky color. So this might be really cool as far as looking as a mold. So let's try this, see how this comes out. And really the end's going to be the more important part, is which one pours the best, right? That's when it's going to be my determining factor on which silicone I'm going to buy to permanently start doing this. So, but I'm just going to make sure that I get this real mixed up real nice and good, because I know what it's like if you don't. Like the last Umu I did is actually blue on the bottom because the blue kind of stuck the bottom of the cup, and luckily this is clear, so I don't think it's really going to make a difference. But it's purple. It's pink and blue, and then you mix it and it comes out purple. And I'm going to set this right here on top of this box. And like I said, I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm not going to paint around the eyeballs. We're just going to try this as is. We're going to slowly pour it into the cavity. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit closer here, get you a better view right over top of this thing, so then that way y'all can see this real good. That way you guys can see it all. Okay. That's why I got this arm on this desk, so we could do this better. Let me see if I can get you centered here. Okay. Probably about as good as I'm going to get it. Right there. Alright, so we're going to, this, like I said, the consistency of this is a lot thinner. So I may not have as many problems with the silicone catching air around the eyeballs. So this might be good. And I'm just gonna slowly pour this in until it fills around all the stuff here. I'm gonna come up here in the front now. Just gonna keep going there and around the eyes real slow. Maybe that problem will disappear with the eyeballs not filling in correctly. And then the hook cavity, that's got to fill in good too, which I really haven't had any issues with the hook cavity at all. Looks like it's filling in in really nice. It's very smooth. I do like that. Speed this up just a little bit because I don't really have anything else that's going to interfere with at this point. Hook cavity filled in all the way. Now it's just going to join with the top. I think this is actually going to be like a transparent. So I could have put in more black probably. But that's good because this gives us a nice thick bottom. Alright, so thoughts so far, very minimal air bubbles in this. Very minimal. That poured very smoothly. I'm just going to let that kind of run out as much as I can. That was very smooth, very clean. Let's see how that does. Okay, so I'm going to take the cup, put it off to the side. It's probably going to drip off a little bit, no problems. So we're going to let that set up. Let's see what the directions say on how long it takes. They do have other colors. I got this that came with it. Super elastic type. They've got a 30 Shore A, best overall performance. They've got a 20 Shore A. I think that's the one that I'm using now is 20A. I'm not sure what the Shore thing is. And then they got a 15 as well. And I'm not sure the difference between the silicones, but this one's translucent, so I like that you can color it, and it's kind of neat. So I may end up getting these to try as well. But I'm assuming that 30 is probably close to the 30 that we got. And then the other ones as is too. So we got the 20 and 20T. So again, we're going to try a whole bunch of different ones. I'm not going to get to them all, but... So let's just read the directions here. And this says, leave to set for at least 6 hours, remove and demold. Okay, so this is not as fast as the other molds that I've done. The mold maker sets up in about 30 minutes, and the Umu 30, I believe that's about the same. It sets up in about 30 minutes or less, I think, as well. It's still a little bit soft at 30 minutes, but you can demold it at 30 minutes. So we're going to give this the full 6 hours. I think it's like 9 o'clock now, so we'll come back at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and check it, or later today. But let's just leave it alone, let it do its thing. Looks like I leaked a little bit onto the table. I'll clean that up, no worries. So we'll be back. So this is set up. It is hard as a rock. I actually came down here a couple hours, like 3 hours after it had been sitting here for a little bit, and it had set up hard then, but I just wanted to give it a little bit more time. It's probably about 4 o'clock now, so I gave it about 7 hours. So we're going to go ahead and demold this thing, get this off. By the way, because of how thin this material is after you mix it, it wanted to seep out in between where I've got this onto the plexiglass. So I have to do a little bit better job sealing that up. So I'm going to re-tape that. That's got some double-sided tape in between the plexiglass and the actual unit. Here's the cool part. I can see right through that silicone to where the bait is, so trimming this is going to be so much easier when I get it off. So let's go ahead and take this apart real quick. Pretty excited. Now these little mold pieces are pretty cool because you can just take one piece out at a time. They're pretty tight. There it goes. Get the rest of these clips off here, but once you get one off, it's usually pretty easy to get the other one off. But the silicone sticks to this pretty good. You can tell where it stuck to in between the tape. See it? You can see where it stuck in between the tape and the actual edging that I bought there, the little mold frame. Rest of this off, and there is a little bit of trim work that I got to do once I get these out, because in between these pieces actually gets kind of gummed up with this stuff. So, pretty interesting. Alright, there we go. Got it off. It came off pretty easy. So this is what I was telling you about the tape. So I have some double-sided tape on this all the way around, and it leaked out in certain spots. So I'm going to have to pull that off of there and retape it. But no big deal. It is what it is. So here's the actual mold itself, the silicone mold. Nice and clean. All I got to do is just take this stuff off, and you can either pull it off or use an X-Acto or some scissors to try to keep it nice and neat. For right now, I'm just going to pull off the extra. And I think at some point here, probably off camera, I'll clean all this crap up at some point, and I got to trim. I'm going to show you where I'm going to do it, because I'm going to trim and pull this out right now just so you guys can see what the cavity looks like. But so far so good. I'm actually very impressed by the hardness, the quality. My concern is the air bubbles like the mold maker. Hopefully when we pour a liquid hot plastic into this, it's not going to do the same thing. So what I need to do is I need to trim around the top edge of the mold, which is right here, and all the way around the very hard edge of the mold. So I'm going to do that real quick. See if that took care of all that. Yep, nice and clean. Little piece there. That could be the tape on the bait too. But so far so good. We just trim around the tail real quick. And this is great because I can actually see what the hell I'm doing here. And this is all there we go. So I think I got all that. See if I can peel that out of there. There we go. I just stabbed myself with a knife. That was fantastic because I tried to catch it going off the table. Anyway, so we're going to try to peel this apart, see if it sticks at all. It's a little bit sticky, but it's not too bad. Let's see if we can get the actual resin bait out of there without breaking the tail off or anything. I gotta remember I got that hook slot in there too, so the hook slot's gonna be really tight. There it goes. Hook slot just came out. And then just try to get the tail out of there without breaking it. There we go. Okay. So it came off pretty easy. Looks like some of the finish from the bait that I sprayed on there to make it clean came off inside the mold, which I don't know if that's a big deal or not. Probably just come right out of there. So I may have to respray that. It's funny, I blew on it to get it out of there, and then it blew right up on my glasses. Okay, so first thing I notice, no air bubbles around the eyes where I was having issues. Looks like everything is perfect. So that is really good. That's awesome. Everything looks like it came out very clean. I'll show you the inside here. I was having issues at the bottom of that eye socket right there. Bottom of both sides, actually. So probably tough for you guys to see. Probably can't see in there too well. But at the bottom of that eye socket right there, I was having some very bad bubble issues in the bottom when I was pouring the molds. But right now, I think we're good. I think it's pretty much all set. Got some more of that crap in there. Like I said, I'm going to have to repoly this resin copy, or make another one. Probably should make another one. I've poured it quite a few times. Does not want to come out of there. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. Back at it here. Okay. So far, and I think I'm going to start like a little notepad on how these molds interact. So for this, which is the BB Dyno, BB Dyno 20A, I think I'm going to rate it on mixability. I'm going to rate it on probably pourability, pouring the silicone into the mold frame. And then the last thing I'm going to rate it on is bubbles, because, and I don't know what you want to call that, air bubbles or just air, like how much is in it, or if it seems to like seep through the material, like what I said with the mold maker, air seems to leak through the material. Now again, I'm not mocking any of the companies that make these silicones. I think they're all pretty good, and I think they all probably have their purpose. But for doing soft plastic baits, that's what I'm judging these on. So we're gonna give it a little bit of a list right here. That's what we're gonna do. On this one, I would have to say, so far, the mixability, I give that a 9 out of 10, because that is fantastic to mix up. It's thin, it's very easy to mix up, it's fantastic. Pourability, again, 9 out of 10, because it was so smooth and so easy to pour in there. I don't see any air bubbles, but we won't know until we do the final pour on these, actual bait in it, to find out. And then the other thing too is, well, I guess I really don't care about how it if it seeps out of the mold frame or anything like that. That really doesn't matter. So I think that's the 3 things we're going to judge it on. So again, this is this one. We can probably go ahead and go back and do the other ones. So for the Umu 30, I'm already thinking about what I would rate that as. And I would say mixability, oh man, that stuff is really tough to mix. I'd say probably like a 4 out of 10, because it's really hard to mix, and you got to really mix it really good. The pourability, I'd give that probably like a 6 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty thick, so but it pours okay. But I do get air pockets in the eye, on both of the eyes, so that I'm a little bit concerned about. The bubbles on that one, that doesn't get any. So I'm gonna say that, well, actually, I guess it depends on what we're doing here. So like I'm saying, pour when you pour it in there, does it get any air bubbles? This one does not get any air bubbles in there, but it did get air bubbles in the eyes when you poured it into the thing. That's why I gave it a 6 out of 10 for that. But air bubbles as far as like in the actual bait when it comes out, no, it's like a 9 out of 10 for the bait completeness. I'll say that. So that one did really well. I know that for a fact already, and I'm gonna pour them all at the end and show you. The other one was the mold maker, and the mold maker, For mixability, I'd say that one was a little bit easier to mix, probably like a 6 out of 10. And the pourability on that stuff is pretty awesome, so I'm going to say that one's probably like a let's give it a 7 out of 10, I'd say. And the air bubbles, that one gets air bubbles through the material, through the silicone, and puts it in the wall of the finished product. So that one definitely is getting a very bad scale on that. I'm gonna say a 4 out of 10 on that one. Because the bait comes out okay, it's just you got little air bubbles all over the side of the bait, like in this area right here, where back behind the fin. So far, I think we got these three. Like I said, we got a couple more to do, and I'll show all this at the end, and that way we can compare them all, and we'll see which one is the best. Okay guys, hopefully you can hear me, but I'm going to go ahead and try to mix up this Mold Max 30. It says part A is 100 A, and then it's got to be to a 10 part B. So it's 100 to 10, but it's by weight on a gram scale. And I'm going to try to do 300 grams. So I got this little scale from Harbor Freight. It's a little digital scale. And I'm going to put this cup on it to be zeroed. And then we're going to add, you probably can't see the scale, that's okay. But take it for my word, I'm going to try to get to 300. So what I'm going to do is, I looked it up, did the calculation on my phone. Hopefully this is going to be enough silicone. But it's 272.7 to 27.3. And I have no idea how much. This is 272.7. And 72, still got a ways to go here. It's 250. Just trying to keep you guys informed. Hopefully this microphone's okay. There's 260. 265. 270. It's 272.7 right there. Okay, really close. And then I need 27.3, so just bring it up to 300. Hope this is going to be enough. There we go. And something to wipe that off. Then I'm just going to put the lids back on this and keep it here. Okay. Now we need to mix. I think I read this was going to be like a light pink color, which is fine. And I do not have anything here to degas this. I'm actually in a hotel room trying this, which for the most part it's pretty well ventilated. It's a very big room. I'm just going to try to keep my nose away from it. Try to mix it the best I can by hand for a little while. So I'm pretty sure the curing time on this is pretty long. Trying to get it so that the sides of the cup aren't white anymore, and this paint color. And the one thing I'm going to do, I don't have a brush with me, but I figured the one thing I could do is take this stirring stick and put some of the silicone in the eyeballs. Then that way I don't have any air bubble issues, because this stuff seems pretty thick. So this is my venture to try to find a good silicone. And there's a couple air bubbles in there, which wish I had my vacuum chamber to get rid of those, but that's okay. And then here's our mold ready to go. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to get some of this into the eye cavities. Just so in that way I'm not trying to keep the air out of the eye sockets. Okay, I think we're ready to pour. Here we go. Try to be consistent here. It looks like the eyes, the stuff that I put in the eyes is kind of running out. But that's okay. I'm just going to pour it in here and let the air bubbles kind of naturally flow out. And I'm also just pouring in one spot to let everything just kind of run around everything else nice and slow. Looks like this is going to be plenty enough silicone. I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough. So 300 grams was probably pretty close. I think we're good on the eyeballs. Now this is going to start running down into the one thing I'm going to do real quick, just to make sure that this hook slot gets all the air worked out of it. I think it's good. I'm just going to get the rest of the silicone from this into the case here. All right. So, as you can see, we got some air bubbles on top. I'm just going to sit here and poke at them, try to pop them. Just let it do its thing. I do have a razor knife here, just to sit here and pop the bubbles. Okay, I'm just going to let that chill, and I just wanted to add this to the video that I'm making about the different types of silicone. So that was Moldmax 30. It is by weight, so you have to have a scale to measure out the weight of the silicone, which I think 300 grams might do it. We'll come back and check this, and I'll give you a little bit of an update when it's hardened and we can demold it. Okay guys, so the Moldmax 30, I'm actually demolding it. It's the next day, and it does take quite a while to cure up. It says a full 24 hours. So, and it's as hard as a rock. So let's see if we can demold this thing and see how it came out. Now again, we're going to look at pourability as well as how hard it was to mix up this silicone. This silicone was definitely a lot thicker to mix up once you start getting it going, mixed in, the two parts. So that I'm probably going to give a little bit of a, I don't know, you know, 8 score or 7 something, I don't know. So it's tough to mix, but mold quality wise, let's see how well this turns out, because I got a funny feeling this is going to be pretty awesome. Probably take the, yeah, it'll take the fish right out of it. So first thing we got to do before I take the mold or the resin copy out is I'm just going to run a razor around the top edge of the bait. Then that way I've got it perfectly trimmed to where I want it. Okay. This will get all the silicone off the edge. Let's see how clean we can get this pour. I think this is going to come out pretty awesome. I'm actually pretty excited about this, guys. That's pretty good right there. Now we just need to trim out the tail, which I'm not sure. I'm just trying to feel how far the tail comes out. Honestly, I can't see it, so it's tough to, right there, tough to see. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now let's see how hard it is to get the actual resin out of the mold itself. I do like how hard and firm this silicone is. I'm also concerned a little bit about the hook slot, because when I poured it in, it was very thick and I thought maybe a lot of air got caught in there. But I think we might be okay, guys. And I did not spray this with any kind of mold release. And it came out perfect. And I think I'm gonna do another one. Okay, so let's just test. I wanna see. No, we didn't get any air bubbles in the eyes. I think we're good, guys. That's probably the best one so far to date. Now, I got the information on this silicone from Slim's Lures, Noah, and he recommended this. This is what he uses on his, and I figured might as well give it a shot, see how it turns out. Now the only thing I got to do is just trim around, get all the excess off, but that actually came out really good. The cavity is nice and clean. Everything's nice and smooth. The only thing that we're going to have left to do is test the pourability of these to see how well they pour. And by the way, the 300 grams was perfect. It's below the tail. That's actually a perfect amount of silicone. So I think what I'm going to do is make another one of these. Then that way I've got two. And we can do the test at the house before we make the video, before I put together the entire video. And yeah, but it came out great. I'm very, very impressed. I got a funny feeling these are going to pour great because, like I said, I've got some Slim's Lures at the house and they pour amazing. So super excited. I think these are going to be it. Like, this is the ticket. I also put a little bit of silicone in the eye sockets on the actual resin copy to make it a little bit better. So I was hoping that the air pockets wouldn't get trapped on it. So, but I think this double-sided tape that I have on there is more than willing, should be more than enough to put it back on. Yep,
Yep. Just make sure that all my silicone's off there, but I think that could stay nicely. Again, it's not perfect, but it'll be good enough. So I'm gonna put this back together, and I'm gonna weigh out another one and do another one. So, Mold Max 30, part A and B.
Well, I hope you guys liked that video today. I'm going to split this video up into probably 3 parts. And the first part, this episode, was basically mold production, me, pouring the molds, all that kind of jazz. The next video will be us actually taking the molds, pouring plastic into each mold to assess how well the plastic bait comes out. Then on part 3, I'm thinking we're going to do something a little bit different. I think we're going to do some kind of a heat test. So I want to do this in stages so you guys can see it all, and then I think at the very end we'll come up with a conclusion. You'll see a conclusion that I already did, and again, I'm sorry for all the cuts and stuff like that. This is I've been putting this video together like piece by piece, like throughout the whole thing. I didn't even film the Umu segment where I poured those molds, so I apologize, but once we get this put together, you'll kind of more understand. The next one will be a little bit more formed like we normally do, but I'm trying to group this together so it makes sense. So mold production, then we'll do pouring plastic just to see what it does in cold molds, and then the last section will be doing it in hot molds. But in the cold mold section, I actually kind of go through and come up with what I think is the best silicone use for doing that kind of pouring, where you're just going to pour into it and not heat the mold up. So I'm just trying to explain a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense. Just stay along for the ride. But this is the end of part 1. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember to keep on baiting.